applicable to the whole of India. The Act came into force from 28th of March 1937. That is, obviously, it was passed during the British rule, and later on, the same was adopted by the Indian government. On the same ground, Maharashtra payment of wages rules passed in 1963. This Act has got three parts, where we talk about regulations and payment of wages, deductions that has to be made, and machinery for enforcing individual claims which are there. Now, the objective of the Act was to regulate the payment of wages to certain classes of employees in industry in particular form and at regular intervals. It was to prevent unauthorized deductions from the wages, and the fixation of wages was also one of the issues that was in question. The applicability of the Act, we said, was to the employees of factories, all factories, railways, and such other establishment wherein a state government can extend provision of Act by notification after giving 3 months notice to that effect. And the persons drawing less than 6,500 per month then, in respect of a wage period, are covered under this particular Act. Now, anybody, they said, person drawing less than 6,500, because that was the maximum wage that was paid to the President of India when this Act was given for the other categories of people. Wages, which we also call remuneration, salary, allowances, otherwise expressed in terms of money payable to person employed in respect of work done. This includes wages paid under award, settlement, or orders of the court, overtime work, holidays, leave period, payment that is there, termination of employee wherein payment is mandatory under any law, any scheme framed under any law for the time being in force, and it excludes any bonus, that is profit sharing otherwise, which is not part of the settlement or order of the court, and amenity provided by the company in general by a special order. It also talked about any traveling expenses, gratuity payable on termination or on a superannuation, special expenses entitled on employee, provident fund and pensions, and outstanding interest contributed by the employer, and that also includes the deceased employer, if any. Now, wage payment, if you look at the responsibility for the payment of wages under the Act is of employer or his representative. So it is the employer or whosoever they authorize, they are to pay the wages. Wage may be payable daily, it can be weekly, it can be fortnightly and monthly. All provisions are there. It should not be extended a period longer than 1 month. So any feudal system of annual payment in kind is not included. It is cash payment, and maximum period for which the payment is to be made is 1 month, and it can be as little as 1 day. Right? If there are 1,000 employees working or persons employed in a company, there the wage shall be paid before the 7th day of the month. 7th day is that it has to be before the 7th day of the next month begins. You have got to pay them, or whatever has been agreed upon between the employer and employee. The normal timing for payment, as we all know, is the last day of the month. And if that happens to be a holiday, it will be earlier than that, but that is as per the agreement. There is no compulsion as far as the Act is concerned. It says it has to be before the 7th day of the next month. Terminated employee is entitled to receive the wages earned by him or her before the expiry of 2nd working day from the day on which his service has been terminated. that is given in section 5, subsection 2. Deduction from wages, as we all know, is the subtraction that is made from the salary or wages. No specific definition for this has been provided. However, Act does not specify the heads from section 7 to 13 under which deductions can be made. Only those deductions that are authorized by the Act can be levied. Otherwise, you cannot deduct anything extra. List of authorized or permissible deductions are given here. Deductions for fines, deductions for absence from duty, deductions for damage or loss, deduction for home accommodation, house accommodation, that is HRA, deductions for amenities and services provided to the employee, deduction for recovery of advances, if any loan or advance has been given for festivals and other things, deductions for recovery of loan made for the welfare of labor, deduction for recovery loans, granted for house building that is given to the employee as soft term loans, and deduction for payment to cooperative societies and insurable services that is there. It also includes income tax deduction, any other deductions made under the orders of the court, that is alimony if any have to be paid, deduction for contribution to provident funds, deduction for continuation of welfare funds for employed person, that is the family members, deduction in respect of fees payable for membership of trade union or any other association, deduction for payment of insurance premium on fidelity guarantee bonds, deduction for recovery of losses sustained by the railway administration, deduction for contribution to Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, that is there. Now the authorities who is defined under this Act, under section 14, this Act, under the Act, appointment of inspector is to be done. Act provides that appointment of person to be authorized to hear or decide the specified area claims arising out of deduction from wages or delay in payment of wages under section 15. There are 3 distinct categories of person prescribed as authorities: presiding officer of the labor court, any commissioner for workmen's compensation that is given in the Workmen's Compensation Act, the other office with experience as judge of civil court or a stipendiary, that is there. Claims or appeals arising out of this, any delay that is there will be heard of. Penalty for malicious claim will be heard under this. Authorities under they can adjudicate any other claim or matter that arises. Employer can appeal provided the total amount deduction exceeds 300 rupees. This has been increased now. The authorities have all the power of a civil court under the civil procedure that is there. Now the penalties for any avoidance, whoever being required under this Act to register or maintain, the penalties will be fail to maintain a register, willfully refuse or without lawful excuse neglect and furnish such information when the officers ask for it. It is willfully furnishing information which are known to be false. We also have got any offense is punishable where a fine of rupees 1,200 to 1,000 rupees is to be imposed. This amount has been increased to 2,500, and in certain cases it is 5,000 rupees plus a minimum punishment is they will be jailed for a minimum period of 2 months for the offense. The obligation is to fix wage period not exceeding 1 month, to pay wage in cash. The Act initially provided checks, but now what we find that the payment in cash has been abolished. Now, the act was modified and it said that you can only pay by checks. Even that was being modified, and now they say that uh, you should pay by direct debit into the account of the individuals. And in the recent times, the changes are there that these, uh, other than the commercial organizations, be that in the public sector or private sector, all other government organizations shall have to pay directly into the bank account, and that deduction will be made by the, sorry, that payment will be made directly by the Reserve Bank of India, not by any other agency that is there. So to ensure the deductions do not exceed 75%, where payment to a cooperative society has to be made. In any other case, deduction should not exceed 50%. It is kept in mind because the person has got to have enough money to carry on for the month. It is not to impose fines exceeding 3% of the wages. The recovery of fine within 60 days of the date of offense, the display abstract of the act, and the rules in English and language understood by the majority of workmen, that is in Hindi and local area language, has to be provided. They have got to maintain a register of fines, a register of wages, a register of deduction, and register of any advances that they have tried and make. So this is how we basically look at Payment of Wages Act, which talks about two things: regulation and payment, and enforcing claims which are there, and the deductions which are direct. The object of this is to regulate wage payment and fix wage period, not wages. So how much of money is to be paid, that is not the provided in the act. Applicability is to factory, other establishment by notification of the state government, and the railways which are there. We also have wages where deductions are part of this particular process, which is given in this particular slide. The employer includes legal representative of the deceased employer, if of civil court and commission for workmen's compensation, which are there, and claims or appointment is under this particular slide which is given. Now, what we find that this is okay as far as the act is concerned, but what is more important? What is more important that we have is that until and unless we look at as to how the wages and salaries and why the wages and salaries are important for our purpose. Because until and unless this particular phenomena is there, we will not be able to really look at what is how it is fixed. We will not be making them payment, whatever methods are there. Now, here we will be looking at the wages and salary as to, these are two terms normally. The salaries includes the certain amount, which is we call as DA. We have got HRA. We used to call a CCA, which has been merged now with the transport allowance, which is given to the employee, and any other thing is not included in this salary. In terms of wages, we have the overtime and other things are being included, but it does not have any DA. And the wages are not paid monthly. It is either to be paid daily or weekly, which are there, and that is for a particular category of employee. So this differences has to be known to you. Now, wages are paid because you perform your duties in the organization, and you have to be kept motivated. And for this purpose, what we find is that there are incentives, that is financial rewards paid to workers whose production exceeds a predetermined standard. Now, we know that initially it was Frederick Taylor who popularized scientific management, and the use of financial incentive in the late 1800s, that is the early 19th century, which he called as systematic soldering, the tendency of employees to work at the lowest pace possible and to produce at the minimum acceptable level that they have to be paid for. Now, we also have individual differences, that is law of individual differences, which defines that the fact that people differ in personality, they differ in ability, they differ in value system, and they differ in needs. We also find that different people react to different incentives in different ways, and managers should be aware of employee needs and fine-tune the incentive offered to them to meet their needs which are there. And money is the only motivator. This is the assumption for the wage and salary that we have. Now, if it is for motivation, we find that the need hierarchy, hierarchy of needs theory was given by a gentleman called Abraham Maslow. Maslow has given a 5 increasingly higher level needs. So at the lowest level of the need, he calls it physiological needs, which talks about food, water, sex. Security is a safe environment that has to be provided. It includes housing, etc. The social needs, which is talking of relationships with others in the society. He talks about self-esteem, a sense of personal worth that a person has got to realize, and the self-actualization becoming the desired self, which he calls it. Now, he says that at the lowest level, first 3 level, the money plays a vital role in terms of motivating people. But as you progress to the higher level needs, the importance of money decreases, and it is other factors like your personal worth, realization of personal worth, and your recognition by the society, and your desired self as to what you feel, how you feel, that it becomes more important. The lower level needs must be satisfied before the higher level needs can be addressed or become of interest to the individual. So you cannot talk about self-actualization in the beginning. You will only talk about the physiological need first. Now, we also have got another psychologist and management scientist called Herzberg. He has given a hygiene and motivation or motivator theory. The hygiene, he calls it as extrinsic job factors, where inadequate working condition, salary, and incentive pay can cause dissatisfaction and prevent satisfaction. And there are motivators, he calls it as intrinsic job factors, where job enrichment, that is challenging jobs, recognition, higher level achievement, self-authorization needs, these are important. And he says that these are the motivators, and Herzberg do not believe that the payment of salary is going to be of much use here in terms of motivator. So it is because Herzberg himself was living in an advanced society where it was almost guaranteed that the person living in any estate will get a minimum for living from the estate, and therefore his views are slightly different. The best way to motivate someone is to organize the job so that doing it helps satisfy the person's higher level needs, right? Now, there is another gentleman called Edward Deci. He talks about intrinsically motivated behaviors are motivated by the underlying needs for competence and self-determination, where offering an extrinsic reward for an intrinsically motivated act can conflict with the acting individual's internal sense of responsibility. And some behaviors are best motivated by job challenges and recognition, others by financial rewards. So he takes a mid view where he says that not all jobs are looking at the motivation part, challenges that motivates. It is for certain jobs, it is the financial rewards which are more and more important that we do. And that is dependent on the hierarchy of the individual. As you grow in the organization, the finance, as we said, gets reduced valuation. Then Room's expectancy theory is also there, where he talks about expectancy, the effort will lead to performance. And then he talks of instrumentality, that is the I, the connection between performance and the appropriate reward in terms of money. And he talks about valence, the value of person's place on the reward. And therefore, he says that motivation is basically the multiplier of E, I, and V. If any factor is zero, then there is no motivation to the work towards the reward. Employee confidence building and training, accurate appraisals and knowledge of workers' desired rewards can increase employee motivation. This is what Room has to say, and which is quite applicable in today's environment. The types of incentive plans for performance plans which are there, based on which the wages will be paid, pay for performance plan, excuse me, where variable payment is to be made at the organizational focus, a team or group incentive plan that ties pay to some measures of the firm's overall profitability. If the profitability is not there, the payment will not be made as far as this variable pay is concerned. Now, variable pay is individual focus as well. Any plan that ties pay to individual productivity or profitability, usually as one-time lump sum payments are being made to them. That is falling in the second category that is there. The types of incentive plans can be pay for performance plans, which includes individual incentives or recognition program, sales compensation programs, team group-based variable pay programs, organization-wide incentive programs, and executive incentive compensation programs. These are the 4 different types of plans which are there. Now, we find that sometimes the wages are paid at piece rate or piecework plans that is there. And the other side of this will be the time work plan, the time you have spent in the organization in terms of a month's time that you have spent, you will be paid. But in certain work, time does not matter. The number of pieces that you produce are more important. But this is meant for a lower level jobs and not for the higher level jobs that we have. The worker is paid a sum called a piece rate for each unit he or she produces. There are 2 types of piecework plans, that is called a straight piecework plan and a standard hour plan. A fixed sum is paid for each unit the worker produces under an established piece rate standards that every organization calculates as a standard. An incentive may be paid for exceeding the piece rate standards. So if anybody exceeds the standard that is being fixed, they are paid incentive for it. Right. Then standard hour plan is there. The worker gets a premium equal to % by which his or her work performance exceeds the established standards that is there. That is, standard is as far as the number of units they produce, and the quality sometimes is also taken in the standards. The pros and cons of the piece rate is that it is easily understandable, it is equitable and powerful incentives because you get a direct feedback. More you produce, more you get, and less you produce, less you get. Employee resistance to change in standards or work processes affecting output, that will be there. The quality problems caused by an overriding output focus is also there, and possibility of violating minimum wage standards is also there. We also find that employee dissatisfaction then incentive either cannot be earned due to external factors or withdrawn due to lack of need for output which is there. Now we also find that there are other systems which are in vogue, that is merit pay, a permanent cumulative salary increase the firm awards to an individual employee based on his or her individual performance. We also have got merit pay options, annual lump sum merit raises that do not make the raise part of an employee's base salary, and merit awards tied to both individual and organized performance which are there, which is the merit pay option which is there. We also have got incentives for professional employee, where professional employees are those whose works involve the application of learned knowledge to the solution of the employer's problem. It is also called, payment to lawyers, doctors, economists, engineers, etc. would be falling in this category. And possible incentives can be bonuses, stock options, grants, profit sharing, better vacations, more flexible working hours, improved pension plan, and equipment for home offices, the office that you maintain at home. So if you are working from home, you will get these benefits which are there. We also have got recognition-based awards, where recognition has a positive impact on performance, either alone or in conjunction with financial rewards. It is combining financial reward with non-financial ones that produced a performance improvement in service firms. Now, day-to-day recognition from supervisors, peers, and team members is important in order to fix this kind of an incentive. We also have online award programs, where the programs offered by online incentive firms that improve and expedite the awards process. We have got broader range of awards and more immediate rewards which are there. Information technology and incentive, if it is being adopted, we also have got some kind of a plan. We also find that there are salary plan where straight salary is paid best for prospecting, that is finding new clients, or accounts servicing, training customers, sales force, or participating in national and local trade shows. We also have got commission plan, pays only a percentage of sales that is given, keeps sales cost proportionate to sales revenues. This may cause a neglect to non-selling duties. It can create wide variations which are there, and there is a likelihood of sales success may be linked to external factors rather than the salesperson's performance or efforts, and it can increase turnover of the salespersons very high, which we are experiencing inside an organization. We also have got combination plans. Pay is a combination of salary and commissions, usually with a sizable salary components, and plan gives salesperson a floor, that is the safety to their earnings. This combination plan is normally found for the payment to MRs, that is the medical representatives, where they have got a certain amount which is fixed, and above that they are paid based on their performance, and the commission is being paid. So minimum threshold is being provided. Beyond that, it is the commission. Salary component covers company specified service activities. Plans tend to become complicated, and misunderstandings can result in such positions which are there. We also have a specialized combination plan where commission plus drawing account plan. Commissions are paid, but a draw on future earnings helps the salesperson to get through low sales period, and commission plus bonus plan where pay is mostly based on commissions, and small bonuses are paid for direct activities like selling slow moving items which are there. Now what happens that even for the higher level employee, we have got plans today where a person is paid a handsome amount for living, right? Apart from that, what happens that there is a retention plan along with this. So they say that you will be, or your salary is calculated as higher salary, the whereas the payment that we are made is slightly lower. A certain amount is retained by the organization and will only be paid in the following year. It is also that they linked it to the performance of the organization, that is the profitability. If the profitability increases, you are going to get additional bonus on the amount retained. But the fact is that if the amount exceeds certain amount, the employer sometimes behave funny and do not pay to the employee, and they ask them to leave because the conditions are there that if you leave, earning will not be paid. We also have got sales quota plan, whether to lock quotas for a period of time. Have quotas been communicated? Does Salesforce know exactly how quotas are set? We do combine bottom-up information like account forecast and other things. Do 60% or 70% of the Salesforce generally hit their quota? Do high performance hit their targets? Do performers show improvement over time? Are quotas stable? Are return the debookings reasonably low? Has your firm generally avoided compensation related lawsuits? Is 10% of the sales force achieved higher performance previously and 5% of the quota due? We also have a team or group variable pay incentive plan. Team or group incentives, a plan to which a production standard is set for a specific work group and its members are paid in incentive if the group exceeds the production standards, right? So we also have the design team incentive, how we are going to do it, set individual work standards in the organization. Members are paid based on one of the three formulas. All members receive the same pay earned by the highest producer. All members receive the same pay earned by the lowest producer, and all members receive same pay equal to the average pay earned by the group that is there as far as this particular scheme is concerned. Use of engineered production standard based on output of the group as a whole is also there. All members receive the same pay based on the piece rate for the group's job, and tie rewards to the goal based on overall standards is also there. If the firm reaches its goal, the employee's share is in percentage of the improvement, that is in labor cost and cost saved is also there. The profit sharing plans are also there in the organization, where cash plans are there. Employee receives cash share of the firm's profit, and sometimes they also have got share plan where instead of paying them cash, they are paid the shares. The Lincoln's incentive plan is also there, where profits are distributed to employees based on their individual merit rating, that is performance rating being done by the organization, and predetermined portion of profit is placed in each employee's account under a trustee's supervision, which is there. We also have got organization-wise variable pay plans where stock options are there, employee stock ownership plan, corporate annual contributes its own stock or cash with a limit of 15% of the compensation to be used in purchase of stocks. This serves two purposes. Number one, that you become a shareholder in the organization, so your interest will be more in the organization and towards the profitability of the organization. The trust holds the stock in individual employees' account and distribute it to the employees upon separation from the firm if the employees has worked longer enough to earn ownership of the stock. But for this purpose, there's a qualifying time, and that time is normally a period of minimum 5 years. The advantage of employee stock option is that it helps employee develop a sense of ownership. No taxes are levied on ESOPs, and we also have shareholders of closely held corporations helps to deliver their assets by placing their shares of company stock into ESOPs trust and allowing them to purchase other marketable securities for themselves in their place. That is also there. The advantages of ESOP is that the tax deduction equal to their fair market value of these shares are transferred to the trustee, and income tax deduction for dividends paid to ESOP owners stock, and the employee retirement income security is also there because of this factor. And firms offering ESOP had higher shareholder returns than did those not offering ESOP, which is also being noticed by practice. Then we have got Scanlon plan, where which was proposed in 1937 by a gentleman called Joseph Scanlon. The philosophy of cooperation is being followed in this case, know us and them attitude that inhibits employee from developing a sense of ownership in the company. They talk about identity of the employee understand the business's mission and how it opens in terms of customers, prices, and cost. We also look at the competence, where the plan depends on high level of competence from the employee at all levels, and sharing benefits formula. Employees share 75% of the savings reductions and payroll expenses divided by the total sales which is being done. Then we have Ganshin plans, an incentive plan that engages many or all employees in common efforts to achieve a company's productivity objective, and cost saving gains are also there. There are Rucker plan and Impro share plan, which are also there as far as this is. Now this can be, Ganshin plan can be implemented by establishing general plan objectives. It can also be done through choosing a specific performance measure, decide on funding formula, decide on a method of dividing and distributing the employee's share of gains, choose the form of payment, decide how often that payment of bonuses will be made, develop the involvement system, and implement the plan which is there. There are at-risk variable pay plans where we have, if employees meet or exceed their goals, they earn incentives, and if they fail to meet their goals, they forego some of the pay they would normally have earned. That is also there. So both ways it works. There are annual bonuses plan. In India, this bonus plan in public sector organizations are given as 8.33%. That is to be paid irrespective of where you are. In the private sector, it should never exceed more than 1 month's salary, but that is 1 month's not gross salary, but 1 month's basic pay. The bonus should not exceed, and that is only paid when organizations have made profit. If they are making losses, then the private sector organization would not pay any kind of bonus. That is also there. So what we find is that long-term incentives for managers, executives would be stock options. Non-qualified stock options are there. Indexed options are there, and premier priced options are also there. This is for the managerial employee. Other plans would be key employee programs, stock appreciation, performance achievement plan, restricted stock plan, and phantom stock plans. And performance plans are also being there. There are golden parachute plans where payment companies made to departing executives in connection with a change in ownership or control of the company. And there are guaranteed loans to directors, loan provided to buy company stock, a highly risky and non-frowned upon practice. This is not very, very popular. One has to develop an executive compensation plan, which is normally followed in the organization, that is define the strategic context for the executive compensation programs, shape each components of the package to focus the manager on achieving the firm's strategic goals, create a stock option plan to meet the needs, check the executive compensation plan for compliance, that is in terms of taxes, install a process for reviewing and evaluating the executive compensation plan whenever a major business change occurs. Now, but why do we have to have a plan that incentive plans which normally fail? We find that performance pay can't replace good management. You get what you pay. Pay is not a motivator. This is looking at the managerial personnel. Reward and punishment becomes part of it. Reward rupture relationship would be there. Rewards can have unintended consequences, and rewards may undermine responsiveness, and rewards undermine intrinsic motivation theories which are there. Then implementing effective incentive plan will be required by the organization. Is effort clearly instrumental in obtaining the rewards? Link the incentive with strategy. Make sure